Good evening, I'm Judge Williams. My opponent is now claiming that I don't hear a full caseload because I don't have as many hearings as the other judge. This is false. He misunderstands the work of a judge. The amount of hearings you have in court does not equate with the judge's caseload. I hear mostly the non-criminal caseload. Non-criminal cases involve in-chambers time and don't involve as much in-court hearing time. For example, I decide a lot of cases in chambers, such as stipulated petitions for divorce, adoptions, name changes, guardianships, conservatorships, in violations that never involve a court hearing, but need the attention of a careful judge to make a correct legal decision. Let me give you one example. Last week, I decided several violations in chambers where the parties wanted the case decided on the declarations they filed. This required the judge, me in this case, to read the citation, read the declaration of the officer, read the declaration of the defendant, decide whether a violation had occurred, decide what the appropriate fine was if a violation occurred, and then draft the judgment. Hearing these violations took the entire morning, but they didn't involve a single in-court hearing. Although I worked hard that entire morning, my opponent would tell you I had nothing to do that morning. Let me give you another example. Non-criminal cases are often more complex and require more work by the judge outside of the courtroom. Recently, I had one 90-minute hearing on a civil case. To be able to prepare for that case, I got to read 500 pages or more of pleadings and evidence. Then we had the 90-minute hearing. After the hearing, I reviewed the testimony, reread the evidence, and drafted a complex legal decision on my findings. I'll deliver that sometime next week after I go through and edit that decision and spend more time in chambers and at home, making sure I arrive at the right decision. Now, my opponent would have looked at that and said, well, Judge Williams only had one hearing, not understanding the nature of a judge's work in the non-criminal docket. He would have looked at the other judge's docket and said, well, the other judge had 20 hearings that morning. But they were criminal arraignments, and they require about 1 hour to complete the entire arraignment docket. Let me give you another example. Recently, I had a show cause hearing on a custody parenting time case. It was a very important case. It required hours to prepare for. The hearing, it's just one hearing, but it took almost 2 days. It took me several more hours to arrive at the correct decision, which I explained to the parties in court. My opponent would have looked at this and said, well, Judge Williams only had one hearing, but ignored the fact that it took 2 days. I had several other hearings in the meantime as well, interspersed throughout those 2 days. This is the point. The non-criminal docket involves 80% of all the caseload for our judicial district. Most cases are non-criminal, and according to the Oregon Judicial Department statistics, I can handle 80% of all of the cases filed in Union and Wallowa County. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.